Statistically, even if you, and I've proved this when I started in remotely, I just wanted to prove people the system works. And all I did was I called people and I said, hey, do you want life insurance? That's all I did, just to prove them you don't need sales skills. You just need hard work. And I wrote like 60 grand that month. Just calling people, hey, do you want life insurance still? And I would get like 10, 15 no's, and then somebody would say yes. And then another 10, 15 no's, and then somebody would say yes.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Life Insurance Academy podcast. This episode that we're about to feature for you is a super special episode with a special guest from Nashville, Tennessee, Mr. Elvir Bazdarevic. Now, he's going to correct me on how I pronounce that in a minute. You'll see in the actual interview. So much so that he had trouble explaining his name, that he goes by Elvis, just because it's easier for people. But as we get into the meat of this interview, it was so, just touching, because this guy's family were refugees from former Yugoslavia, came to the U.S. via Germany, and with all kinds of hardships, trials, and pushing through and just working to do whatever they could to put food on the table for their family, and found their way to an opportunity that led Elvis into a life where he saw work ethic exemplified at the highest level and pursued success in sales, and then found his way into the insurance business. The story is absolutely riveting, but it was too riveting not to share. And I don't want you to hang on to the front end and say, where's the meat about life insurance? It's at the end. We get into what Elvis really breaks down as his success principles, characteristics of people who are six-figure plus earners, people who can change their life with the business. This one is a super special interview. I want you to stay on all the way to the end, and please leave us some comments. Enjoy this episode as much as I did. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to a very special episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. I have a guest who came in to spend a couple days with us, actually 3 days with us. You'll hear why in a minute. All the way from Nashville, Tennessee, even though he's not a native of Nashville, Tennessee necessarily. No. Certainly not born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee. Yep. You'd have slightly different accent than the one you have now if you were. But I'd like to welcome from Modern Financial, Mr. Let me get this, Elvir Bazdarevic.
Yes.
Did I get that right?
You did. Well, it's Bazdarevic, but
Bazdarevic. Yeah. Okay, see,
I got a little oomph in
there. It is, Bazdarevic. Is that how you introduce yourself to your clients?
No. I say Elvis.
You say Elvis?
Yeah.
What's up with that? What's up with the Elvir Elvis? And where's the name from?
It's originally from Yugoslavia, ex-Yugoslavia. And that's where I was originally from. And when I started in the insurance business, I kept calling people, and every time I couldn't finish my script, and I'm like, hey, my name is Elvir, and they'd be like, who? And so I could never finish my script.
Because they would get caught up on the name they didn't recognize.
Elvir, who? And then they would hang up on me, and then one day somebody said, Elvira? I'm like, I don't look like Elvira. And then one time lady said, Elvis? I'm like, yes, Elvis. And then it just stuck from there. And
that was easier.
It was a lot easier, yeah.
You actually have friends of yours that call you Elvis.
Yes.
As if they can't say Elvir.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. So.
Can you sing?
God, no. My wife does, but I couldn't save my life singing.
Well, the Country Music Hall of Fame's right there in Nashville, so... You could just hang out over there with a guitar. I like to listen to music, but I can't. I know my limitations. So, Elvir, let's hear your backstory, man. We'll go with Elvis. So, I don't know what we're going to put in the tags, Adam, maybe both, with Elvir. But what's your backstory with a name Bazdarevic?
Yep.
Not a Native American name, from Yugoslavia, former Yugoslavia. Tell me about your I'm Canadian. Mm-hmm. I didn't come here to the U.S. the same way you came to the U.S. Tell me about that.
So at the age of 4, I still vividly remember things. Again, when you have traumatic things happen in your life, even at a younger age, things are just burned in your brain. And so at the age of 4, I remember my mom taking us out of the house because he was taken away from us because there was a civil war going on.
Now, which war was this?
This was the Yugoslavian war. So again, communism doesn't work. I'll throw that out there. And so they just came in. The entire country collapsed, bankrupt, and people just felt like they owned everything and just came in and took our house away. And so my dad was working in Russia at that time, so he couldn't help. And so my mom had no choice. We were walking. I remember vividly, we were walking through tanks, trying to get to my aunt's house just so we can sleep somewhere, right? But anyway,
tanks on the street.
Tanks on the street, yeah.
Like military tanks.
Yeah. So
soldiers around.
Yeah, soldiers around. I mean, it was pretty bad. I mean, there's a lot of people who had it worse than me, of course, but I just remember those vivid images as a kid. And so the country collapsed, and from the stories that my mom told me, we had to figure something out. Either you stay or you leave, and all kinds of things are happening, right? And so my parents are probably the same age I am now.
Wow.
And so I always think like, man, what would I have done in their situation? Should I just uproot, leave my entire life, or do I move somewhere not knowing what's going to happen, right? And so they made a decision like, why don't we move to Germany? It was 92. And I remember as a kid, again, another vivid imagery. We were in the car, and my aunt came in, and she threw some jackets in the car. And she's like, you guys will never come back. And my mom was like, no, I'll be back. We'll be back. And then so we went to Germany, got into a train, because I don't know if you know how trains work. You go from one station to the other, right? They check your tickets. We didn't have any money.
They don't check your tickets till you're on the train.
On the train, and then they check.
So the train pulls away, and you're on the train, and they don't even check tickets till after.
So our friend took us from the car, so we decided to leave. Had to do something, right?
You weren't with your father?
My dad did come at that time. We just kind of fast forward. This is kind of in the 4 or 5 months range. But they decided they needed to leave, and we didn't have any money, and my parents took a chance, and we got on a train, and my grandma was with us at that time. But we needed to do something. My parents had to do something. I was a kid. And so what happens is when you get on a train, they'll take you to the next station, but you have to get out because you didn't have any tickets. So my parents' great idea was we'll just keep doing that until we get to where we need to get to. So anyway, we kept doing that a couple different times. And then I think like third or fourth station, a lady came in, and there was like commotion and stuff like that. And she was like, what's going on? Because we were ready to get off. And the guy who checks our tickets, he said, well, they don't have any money. And some strange lady paid for us to go to Germany at that point. So that's where
So they were going to boot you off the train, which you might never have gotten out?
No.
Now, there's also a story of your grandmother there, too.
Yeah, so once she paid, we got to Amsterdam, and my grandma didn't have a passport, and so she had to get off. And we had a choice to make. Do we keep moving, go to my aunt's house, or did we get off with her? And I guess my parents decided to just keep moving, and it took us about a year to find my grandma. So
wow.
She got off the station. Somebody housed her somehow, some way. Again, I don't know the full details, but we were able to find her a year later. So
wow. What an incredible story, man. So you made it to Germany, and then from there...
Yeah, from there, we lived there for about 7 years. So they put you in concentration housing, as I call it. So it's like all the immigrants are in like one house or one apartment building. Some live together in like one room. There's like a couple families because there's a lot of immigrants that were misplaced at the time. And they were trying to find where to go because a lot of people were doing that because they had nowhere to go. And so they finally, after a few months, they put us in this home, and we lived there in Germany. It was kind of this place called Stockach, right? And I lived there for about 7 years. And that's where I grew up as a kid. Went to school there and everything else. And then,
until you were like 11 or 12?
Until I was 11, 12, yeah. And then the war was over, and the government was like, all right, you got to go home. And my mom's like, go home to what?
There is no home.
There's no home left. And so they figured out a way. And again, this was another pivotal moment in our life where they had to figure out, like, what do we do? Do we go home? Do we go somewhere else? And then there was these lotteries you can apply to go either to Canada or the United States. And so we applied to Canada first. They denied us.
Dang Canadians.
Why would Canadians deny it?
Why are they hating on you?
But it was just, I think what happened was it was like the timing was off. Like it was cut off at this time. We were too late. And then another random lady, she's like, she overheard everything, and she came in. She's like, follow me. And so here we are following another lady. She's like, can't go to Canada, but I can get you guys in the U.S. And my dad was like, well, I'm not going to the U.S. My mom was like, well, you can stay. I'm going.
Oh, wow.
So sure enough, they applied for it. And then we had to have like, I think it was like 6 or 7 different interviews with 6 or 7 different judges. I mean, it was like 4 or 5 month process. And finally we were able to come over. And then there was a church that sponsored this here in Nashville. And they paid for our flights. And then they brought us in, found jobs for us. My mom, this was 98. My mom was working, I remember my mom was working at a chocolate factory, just wrapping chocolates for like $2.50 an hour. And my dad was cleaning a dry cleaning place, just sweeping for $4 an hour. And now...
In 1998.
1998. But again, we were, some people are like, oh my gosh, that's crazy low. But to us, it was a fresh start, and it was something, a new beginning where we can rebuild our family, right? And so then my mom and my dad started learning English, and that's where my work ethic came in. And so my mom is a director at Vanderbilt University right now for housekeeping.
What? She went from wrapping chocolates to a director at Vanderbilt?
Yep. And my dad's retired from UPS. So their work ethic always stuck with me.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
It was like a fast forward right there. Zip.
Yeah. I'm just very proud of my parents.
Yes. Yeah. Brothers and sisters?
I do. I got a 10-year-old brother who came with us and 2 younger sisters.
So he's older than you?
Yeah, 10 years older. Yeah, he was from my dad's side, first marriage.
And two younger sisters?
2 younger sisters, yep.
Yeah, and you, yourself? Lauren?
Yeah, so I have a wife.
Yeah.
I don't know how she puts up with me, but I'm very blessed. I have my wife, been together almost 16 years now, and two beautiful kids, 3 beautiful kids, Langston, Layla, and Lillian. Funny part was the doctor said we could never have kids, and then got kids through. Yeah, now we got 3.
So how long have you and Lauren been married?
16 years. Yeah,
16 years. Langston, Layla,
and Lillian.
Lillian.
Yes.
And who's the oldest?
Langston.
Langston's 10.
Yeah.
Cool. And the L names?
My wife's name is
and
Lauren.
The L's and
yeah, I that was one of the
it was
arguments.
either going to be like Enos, Edward, and
no, it was
and Euphraida.
My wife's stipulation was, I don't care, it has to be an L name. So she won the battle when it comes to L names, but I picked Layla. I always wanted a girl named Layla.
Oh,
so
that's nice, man.
I always wanted that.
So, what a backstory! Incredible. You went to college. What do you study in college?
Yeah, I went to college, got my associates in computer applications, and then I got my bachelor's in software engineering. I love computers. I got an engineering mindset. Got a job in that field, in the health side of things. And I hated it. I just hated sitting in front of
You love computers, but you hated the job.
I needed to be in front of people or some kind of interaction with human beings. And yeah, so that was that.
And so what happened there? You transitioned out?
Yeah, so in 2015, we got some news that my mother-in-law got diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and she beat it first, and then it came back, and then it was terminal. And my son was born at that time, and something told me that I just we just needed to sell the house. And by the way, I wasn't a Christian back then. I was still kind of agnostic and stuff like that. I was not very spiritual. My wife was Christian. Bless her. She loved me way too much. But something told me, it definitely was God or the Holy Spirit, but you need to sell the home and you need to move over, because she only had 8 months with her mom, right?
Move over
to Springfield, Missouri.
to Springfield.
Yeah. So
that's where your mom was?
my wife's mom.
Your wife's mom. Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. And she had ovarian cancer, had about 8 months left to live. We put our house for sale in Nashville, and it sold in a week, like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, when God moves, he moves, right? He moves mountains. Moved over Springfield, Missouri, in her mom's basement to just so she can have some time. And I quit my job and everything else. It was kind of relief for me to quit my job. I was like, I really don't like what I'm doing. and so when I moved to Springfield, Missouri, I started talking to Lauren. I was like, what do I want? What do I really want to do? But I love cars. I always wanted to be in sales. And so I walked into the dealership in Springfield, Missouri, and walked in. I was like, hey, I want a job. And the owner's like, can you sell? I was like, no, but I can learn. He's like, do you like cars? I was like, I love cars. You hired. And that's how I got in. And the guy that I was under, his name was Tony, just a crazy guy in selling. And he taught me so much. And that's where the sales.
What dealership?
Reliable Toyota. And so I was under the BMW and Audi branch. Yeah. So.
And what were you selling?
BMWs and Audis, but ultimately whatever anybody wanted at that time. So if they wanted a Toyota, I would go over there and sell that too. But I'm very grateful for that period of my life, because I learned so much in sales that I didn't know before.
So you got in the car business. You went from software engineering to selling cars. Yeah. And then you loved it. You loved that industry.
I loved it. I
loved it. The industry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love cars in general. That's my passion. I love cars. I just love fiddling around cars, working on cars, something with my hands, and then being able to enjoy something and then help somebody find it. It was I definitely loved it. But there came a time where it was so consuming for my life where I had to choose between my family or the car business. And because, it's long hours and you're never home. I lived a block from the dealership, and I was never there. My kids were home, and I would be there from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10, Monday through Saturday. And you just can't have a life that way. And it's not necessarily that it was demanding that way. It's just who I am. When I'm all in something, I'm all in. Right. And so I will do whatever it takes to succeed. But I just knew that's what it took to really, really make good money,
I have heard that, people like the car business, but the hours are crazy, and you usually get like a Tuesday off and a Sunday and some weird times. But
they gave me days off.
It's never like a weekend like normal people, and you're working every night, and it is hard on your family.
They gave me those days off, but I was like, you can go work and make so much more money. And I enjoyed it. And so it's like, if you're not working, you're not making any money. And it was like always an opportunity. So
that work ethic came from your parents, watching them fight for everything they had.
For sure.
So you felt like that was a high value in your own life, just working hard, showing up.
Yeah, I'm not very bright, but I can work hard. I am a hard worker.
You're probably not giving yourself quite as much credit as you need. He's pretty bright. Are you ready to launch your insurance career? Excel Solutions is your go-to leader in life, accident, and health insurance pre-license training. Their cutting-edge e-learning platform is packed with rich content. Think interactive assessments, engaging videos, and customized learning paths, all tailored to your learning style. Being students ourselves, we've trusted Excel now for years to deliver top-notch training, offering high pass rates. Their streamlined prep review courses and the exam simulator are really your secret weapons to nailing the state exam the very first time. Now, you thought it couldn't get any better. Well, it just did. Life Insurance Academy listeners, you receive an epic 50% discount reducing the regular course fee from $199 to only $99. So, all you have to do is use partner code LIA at liapodcast.org/excel. Now, Excel spells XCEL. So don't think about it any longer. Dive headfirst into your insurance career with Excel Solutions' premier pre-licensed training with that exclusive 50% discount just for you. Get the code, get licensed, and excel in your insurance career. Tell me about how you got into the insurance business. Why did you quit that because of the hours, or did you stumble on the insurance industry, or did someone contact you? How did that happen?
Good question. It was kind of mixed. It was a mixed bag. So I knew I needed to do something for my family because I saw what my mother-in-law went through. She passed away. I saw the life insurance came in, and I don't know. During that time, something was nagging at me. Hey, you really need to get something in place for yourself, so you take care of your family.
Your own life insurance.
My own life insurance, because I had something to work, but I didn't. I mean,
yeah,
I was 30, 31 or something like that, and I needed to really find something. I did some research in different life insurances here and there, and then somehow that transitioned to looking for jobs. And again, I was just doing a lot of research, and I found this job posting about account executive, and it was just weirdly placed, and it said something like, work your own hours, and had like $250,000 a year. And I'm like, that's intriguing. So I sent in an application. They called me, and I had an interview with this lovely lady. We're still friends to this day. Her name is Lori Rowe, and she was just so patient because I was drilling her with so many questions, and we had an interview. And the thing that stuck out to me, she was telling me about, again, I had an idea about life insurance and what it does, but I didn't really grasp the idea. I just knew, like, she was telling me, okay, you can purchase leads with people who are interested. And my mind went like, okay, all right, tell me more, right? Because all I did all day was
trying to find people,
yeah, and prospect. And it was just so exhausting prospecting 95% of the time. And I was like, these people filled something out. She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, how many can I buy? How many can I get? That's where my mind went.
How many leads can I get?
And I was like, well, how much are people actually making money,
That's interesting that you say that, because a lot of people coming into the business, they're like, how little can I spend on leads and make it work?
Yeah.
You said the opposite. How many can I get?
Right.
Why do you think that was your mindset?
I guess I knew the formula for what it takes to be successful, right? It's fuel. The more fuel you have, the more opportunities you have, the more sales you can make. And so my mind goes engineering is like, okay, so if I have X amount of shots, I'm going to get X amount of closings. And we would go through numbers in the car business like, hey, your closing ratio is 37%, but you need to get more people to talk to. I was like, I know, I'm working on that. My closing ratio was always good. I just needed more people. And so my mind was like, oh, if I can get in front of more people, it means I can help more people and I can make a greater income, right?
Yeah.
And so my mind just started going like, oh, if I do X, and just, engineering mindset is like, if you do X, Y, and Z, and even if my close ratio is at 10%, and it just takes off,
you work
right?
the numbers, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just reverse engineering things. And I was like, well, how much are actually people making? And she's like, oh, about 5,000-6,000. They're selling 5,000-6,000 a week. I was like, selling? Is that income? She's like, well, it depends on your, commission and all that. And I was like, okay. And she's like, well, they're having this convention in Orlando. Do you want to come check it out? So I'm telling my wife this, hey, honey, I'm going to go to this convention. These people making all kinds of crazy money. I'm just going to check it out before I invest my time and effort into this. I wasn't even licensed. I went to a convention, and I'm talking to all these people, and everybody's telling me they're making X amount of money. I'm like, are they really? I was very doubtful, but I was hopeful at the same time because I wanted this to be. You were skeptical,
but you were trying to verify.
Yeah, I wanted this to be true. Like when you really think you found something, you wanted it to be true, but then you want to find out that it's not true. It's kind of a mixed thing, right? And I remember
it's probably your personality, right? Your nature, like to be. To be optimistically cautious.
Optimistically
or cautiously
cautious.
optimistic.
Yeah, yep, that's
whichever
it.
way you want to phrase that.
Yeah,
I don't know which one comes first.
Cautious. Yeah, I'm optimistic, but being with my wife, she's made me a little bit more cautious than jumping all in. And
Prudence.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's
calls
my
that wisdom.
balance. She's my balance in my life.
We talked about wisdom last night.
Yeah, we sure did. And so, anyways, I saw this guy walk on stage, and they had like income rings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there was this guy, flip flops, had like this shorts and like this green jacket, and then he wore for 50 years, and he made $250,000. And I'm looking at myself. I'm like, what am I doing wrong with my life, right? If he can do it, and that was it. That's all it took for me to say, all right, I know I can do it. Like,
so your clothes, what clothes you was the guy in flip flops with the green jacket that he wore for 50 years, making $250,000.
yeah,
If that guy can do it, I can do it.
Yep. That's how I got into business. So, I wasn't even licensed. So,
and you had you bounced around a little bit, and then you finally. How much did you make in your first full year after you were licensed?
I had a lot of work ethic. I wasn't smart, but I just kind of went. I'm like a bull in a china cabinet. I'm really good at breaking things, but that is where I learn, is when I break things. That's how my mind is. But first year, I think I made somewhere between 80 or 90,000, 87-ish or something like that.
Okay.
And then
I want to pause. What's your biggest year been in earnings wise versus your first year of 80,000?
So I was actually thinking about this because I knew you were going to ask me. It took me 2 years to hit my six figures. And then it took me 4 years to hit $250,000.
So the flip-flop guy, you finally got there.
I got him. It took me 4 years, right? And then it took...
Probably because you weren't wearing flip-flops.
Yeah. And then it took me 6 years to hit over half. And so this year is going to be about $750,000. So this
Personal production.
Yeah.
Personal. Like you talking to clients, writing policies, not your agents, not overrides,
Correct.
your personal
Because what
production.
happens is after all the business you wrote in the past, it pays out residuals over time. So it's just kind of compounding effect of momentum.
Now, did you see that when you were sitting in that room that first time and you saw the flip-flop guy with the green jacket? Did you see possibly $500,000 to $700,000 as a possibility, or was that so far removed from where you were at that time that was just like, if you could do $250,000, that'd be great?
In the back of my mind, I knew I can do something big. I didn't know what that number was.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to check the two boxes. I wanted to be able to take care of my family, and I wanted to have the income that I needed, 6 figures plus. And that was my first goal. And once I hit that, then there was next goals. But yeah, those were two goals. But I think in the back of my mind, I knew I was going to be able to get there. Again, if somebody else can do it, Roger, if I know how they do it, if I can just see what they're doing, I know I can do it too.
Yeah. We've always said on the podcast, if someone can do a thing, you can do a thing.
Yeah.
You just have to model it, implement it,
For sure.
work really hard. If someone can, there's limitations, right? Some of us are never going to play in the NBA.
For
right?
sure.
There's physical limitations, but outside of that, if someone can do something, you can do it. You just have to apply yourself. I've always believed that too.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like I just need the recipe. You know what I'm saying? I have a lot of agents come to me, hey, how do I make $250,000? And now, so I give them a recipe, and then they don't like the recipe, and then they go and try to find it somewhere easier.
Yeah. They want a quicker cake.
They want a quicker cake, and
they don't want to put it in the oven and mix up all the right ingredients.
And there are exceptions to the rule. There's a lot of agents that come in and they just kill it their first year. I'm not like that. I'm not the first guy that's going to kill it. I
think you would probably relate to more people than the people who come in and kill year one. Yeah. So I mean, more people are going to relate to that story than people who come in and make 6 figures their first year.
Yeah, I just figured, man, if I can do this for 10 years. And retire my entire family in 10 years, then I've done it, because I would have been in corporate for 10 years, maybe making 70 to 100 grand a year. But if I can knock it out in 10 years, I'm willing to give everything I got.
So we sat and had dinner last night when you got into town, and you said to me, Roger, I believe that over the next, if 7-10 years, the conversation you had with Lauren, if I really do this, like I believe we can build a $50 million agency.
For sure.
And like you said that with 100% confidence.
Yeah.
You said it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's going to take time. Need to be with the right people and steady as we go. But I really think it's possible. Why do you think that's possible in this industry today? What opportunity do people listening or watching, what do you want them to know about the opportunity and how it's changed your life that's possible for them?
Yeah. So first thing I was looking at when I started, like the first thing when anybody gets into the industry is you're like, okay, there's an opportunity here, but I don't know what I don't know, right? You don't know. You just know what's right in front of you. And that's kind of how I got into it. I learned a lot. I had a lot of mentors. I had some good mentors. I had some really bad mentors who taught me what not to do. And I always learn from people. So my first couple years was just understanding the industry, right? Just being a student, working. I'm not going to be taking over the world. I'm just in it and immersed. And then from there, what I learned was, you gain commissions, you work your butt off, you get to the top, and then you work on the relationships. I wish I worked on relationships prior, but I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't know that's what it took. And so we're at the point now. I mean, I'm almost 8 years into it now, but it's relationships. And I didn't know that.
Why are relationships in this business so important? And what does that mean to you when you say it's relationships that are key?
Because there's some things I can't do. I'm really bad at some things. And I need relationships that can leverage to do the things I can't do, right? And get wisdom and learn and grow. And I have a really good team behind me and a lot of good people that do so much. I mean, I feel like where my strong suit is, I can talk to people, I can sell, I love selling, but there's a lot of things I'm not good at. So having relationships and having people in place that pick up the slack that I'm not good at is where it's going to get us there.
Have you had challenges with your relationships in the past that has hindered your business?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I've learned from it.
Examples?
Relationships, I would say, is...
Because new people are watching, they're like, what does that mean? Like, I see this opportunity, I'm going for it. What do they need to be asking themselves?
Ask yourself, the person that you're talking to, ask yourself, would I lend this person $100,000?
Would I lend them $100,000?
Would you lend them $100,000? Do you trust them enough? And if you don't trust them enough to lend them $100,000, don't trust your entire livelihood. You know what I'm saying?
That's a big number. A lot of people don't have $100,000 to lend them.
Exactly.
What about would I lend them $10,000?
Would you? But you're lending them your life. You know what I'm saying? Because they're guiding you either to the cliff to jump off, or they're actually guiding you to be successful.
Yeah.
Right. And so, just the person. Are you able to connect with the person? Are you able to actually build a relationship? Are you able to grow with them? Would you want to, go on a trip with them, have dinner with them? Are you able to have conversations with them, right? And so I never really asked those questions. I wish I did, because a lot of people, it was like there was dollar signs behind everything instead of longevity.
Yeah.
And that's okay. I mean, you might find yourself in that situation. That's okay. You learn from it. But then you start looking for people, and then you'll start attracting people like that.
So you're building a business now. You got some key people around you. You're growing. Modern Financial has taken on a life of its own. What verticals are you in specifically? How do you sell? I just saw you doing it a little while ago before the podcast.
Life insurance, simplified issue is my vertical. I started in the mortgage protection side, and then I didn't even know what mortgage protection is when I started.
Yeah.
I just knew that somebody had a name on it and they wanted something, and I was like, okay, let me help you get it. When I started, Roger, I didn't even know what whole life was. I promise you, I had no idea. I just knew life insurance. I didn't even know the difference between term and whole life, but I learned it. Yeah. But I knew that if somebody had a need, I will find it, right? And so that was my main job. My job is to help people find it. And I will do whatever it takes. And so simplified issue, whole life, final expense, that's it. And I started off in home. And then when COVID hit in March of 2020, we transitioned remotely.
So now you do everything over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
But you have a team that also does some advanced market stuff. You do final expense. So people that are coming to you now that are looking to get started in the industry, when they come to you, what are you looking for? And what should they realize that they're either not going to get or they are going to get with Modern Financial?
Yeah, so...
Because there's some things you don't do, but there's other things you're really, really great at.
Yeah, so we have 3 different verticals, right? We have the simplified issue whole life, we have the advanced side, and then we have the health side. So wherever you might fall, we'll put you in one of those categories. It just depends what you want to do. I'm not going to be speaking to things I don't know, so that's why we have people in place that know health, for example. I couldn't tell you the difference between Medicare or Medicaid at this point, and that's okay. I will admit some things, but we have people in place that are really, really good at that. And so delegating and finding good people. So if they were to join us, I would have a conversation. Okay, what do you want to do? Where you see yourself, and just try to direct them and make sure that we are a good fit. Because last thing I want to do is waste somebody else's time and my time as well.
When you're talking to people for your agency, what are you looking for? What characteristics would you say are the top characteristics of someone who's going to succeed at a high level and become that 6-figure earner?
Yeah.
Versus someone who's like giving you signs early that are going to blow out. Like, what are you looking for? And when you're coaching on your team calls and things like that, what are the things you're repeating to people? Because these are the ingredients of the success.
Yeah.
What are those things?
Roger, I wish there was a silver bullet that we knew, but we don't know what's in people's hearts, right? And the thing I look for is people who are engaged, who are as hungry, ask questions, go out and find the answer. Like for me, when I asked a question and nobody gave me an answer about a carrier or product, I would just call the carrier and get the answer. Like I didn't wait for other people, right? And so I think that really successful people are resourceful, and they know how to go find it, even if you're not there to help them, right? And that's no ding at me or you or anybody else. It's just that winners will always win. They'll find a way. And people who are not going to make it, they're just not going to make it. But at the end of the day, what I've learned is what I really like to find out is when an agent starts, it's easy for an agent to be successful when things are good. But there's going to be a point in life where you're going to get pushed to the wall. And that's where I like to see agents is like, what happens when that happens? What happens when your back is against the wall? Maybe your income is not there, or you got to figure out how to buy some more leads, or you're stressed. And that's when the true character comes out. And I've seen a lot of agents fail at that point, and I've seen a lot of agents that I didn't expect would made it, and I respect that. And I think for me, that's a true test to see, are we going to be in business in longevity? Can I trust this person?
So people need to have character and resilience under pressure, and how they handle and deal with that pressure.
Sure.
We talked about that last night also. Resourceful and can find info to get what they need, regardless of the environment. However, obviously the environment is important. Any other big things that you're looking for?
Yeah.
If you looked across agents, even in your group, in your organization, and you guys are doing millions right now in production, when you look at people, if you had to say like these are 5 common traits, they're resourceful, they have good consistency under pressure. What are a couple more of those traits?
Of course, character, being very, having good morals, making right decisions, and willing to give back, right? Just because you don't get anything out of it. You know what I'm saying? Like I help a lot of agents throughout the day in even different organizations and different verticals, but it's willing to give back.
Willingness to serve others.
Yeah.
Work ethic. Where does work ethic fall? Obviously, that's very high on your list because of how you were raised.
Yeah.
When you get an agent that, identifiers with work ethic, can you speak to that for a minute?
I would say I think this should be number one now that you made me think about it. But like if you don't show up, like 80% of your success is just showing up. It's just, I don't know, statistically, whatever that statistic is. But I just know that even if I don't feel good, I'm still going to show up and something will happen. And so if you're not showing up, and like if we're starting at 8 and you're not showing up, and you're showing up halfway through the day, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do when I feel like it, right? You're all in your feelings. I can tell it's going to be a hard road. Not that it's impossible, but it's going to be a very difficult road trying to do this, because this business is very difficult, but it's worth it, right? Because if it was easy, anybody could do it. And then there would be no value in it, and they wouldn't be paying such great money. But it takes a lot of hard work, self-discipline, emotional discipline, and hopefully prayer as well.
When you say emotional discipline, is that go back to this idea of being able to stay calm under pressure and be consistent under pressure? Is that the emotional discipline you're speaking about?
Yeah. I mean, imagine, let me give you a scenario. Imagine I had one of my biggest sales that I lost. And
biggest sales that you lost?
I lost.
Biggest opportunities that you lost?
In my mind, I sold it.
Yeah, in your mind.
I was working on a massive annuity, $1.5 million. In my early business, and early on, it was like year 3, and I was just
like
so
a retirement
excited.
protection plan. Yeah,
and I went to their house like 3 or 4 times. We were going over things, everything was looking good, and everything else. And that morning, I was going to go to their house and complete the application, and all hell broke loose at the house. Murphy's Law hit so hard. I mean, we were late to school, everything was going wrong. I mean, everything you can imagine, right? Kids were getting sick, and my wife had to work, and we had to figure out all these different things. And it was about a 45-minute drive I had to get there. And I was about 20 minutes late, right? And the guy greets me at the door. He's like, Elvis, let me ask you something. He's like, would you invest your money with somebody who's 20 minutes late to an appointment? And I was like, I'm sorry, I had all these things. He's like, life happens. It happens. And we decided not to go with you. And I was like, I was devastated. Right?
Oh my gosh.
And at that point, I had to make a choice. Could I blame everything around me, or could I just take responsibility and grow from it and move on? It took me, I mean, I was angry for a couple hours. I was driving home. I was angry. I was blaming everything. And then something came over me. It's like, just take responsibility. Because at the end of the day, it's all up to you. And anything that goes wrong, it's your fault, regardless who is in there, right? Regardless of what's happening, your family, your business, your employees, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, it falls under you. And so being able to take responsibility and say, I know it's my fault, accepting that, embracing it, learning from it, and then moving on, instead of becoming bitter and blaming the system. So that's what I would say emotional.
Yeah, because most people who blame, they get bitter and then they become broken. They're stuck there. Yeah. They stay stuck in that spot.
And when you get stuck in that, bitter, leads are bad, the system is bad, this is bad, that's
EAP
bad.
Doesn't work.
Yeah, you naturally your income starts going down. You don't start writing things, and then you can't pinpoint what's going on. And it's not the leads, it's not the process, it's not the system, it's you. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and figure out what's wrong with me. Yeah. Because it's working for other people.
Correct.
So there's something going on with you. Because statistically, even if and I've proved this when I started in remotely, I just wanted to prove people the system works. And all I did was I called people and I said, hey, do you want life insurance? That's all I did, just to prove them you don't need sales skills. You just need hard work. And I wrote like $60,000 that month. Just calling people, hey, do you want life insurance still? And I would get like 10, 15 no's, and then somebody would say yes. And then another 10, 15 no's, and then somebody would say yes. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Jack Canfield, in his book called The Success Principles, his first chapter is take 100% responsibility for yourself.
Yeah.
100%. Sounds like you've done that.
took me a long time to understand that.
And you got good support at home?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a good ecosystem, and you're connected to some good people helping you grow. How important is mentorship and having other people that can speak into you, matter to you?
Very, very
in
important.
business.
Very important because
And having the right people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you need people to love you. You need people. You just need people in different situations. If I want really, really hard criticism and the truth, I go to my wife sometimes. You just need, because you can't do this alone, and you need to be able to be open and share. And if you're struggling, even in our own group, right? We talk through things. I believe in something called open, honest communication, open, honest debate. And like, if you disagree with something, let's speak up. Let's talk about it. That doesn't mean we're bad or anything, but let's just talk about it. Let's discuss things. It's okay to disagree, but we can still move on even if we disagree on things, right? But it has to be communicated. And but it's for me, it's very important having the right people in front of me because I don't know everything. I'm still pretty young, I'm 37, and so having older people around me that have lived life helped me. And that was one of the things my pastor told me. He's like, if you want to know how to have a long a marriage and a happy marriage, ask the people that were together for 40 years what they did, right? Yeah. And you don't want to ask somebody who just broke up. You want to ask the people who've been doing it for a while.
Correct.
And that's why I cherish relationships.
Is that why you asked me that question last night, the way you did at dinner? You said, "You're a lot older than me."
Yeah.
You said, "Is that where the gray hair came from?" You're a lot older than me, so let me ask you a question.
Well, of course.
What do you do under pressure? And have you had a difficult, challenging time under pressure? Because you wanted to know how to navigate pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I respected that question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just got thrown into the old guy category, Adam. So anyway, there it is. He goes, "I'm a lot younger." So I ask older people.
People should put comments down to see if you're old.
Dang. So am I old, everybody? Am I old? I look older than him. He's got much better hair at this point, although mine's hanging on pretty good. But do I look old? You can throw it in the comments. Elvir, man, how do people get a hold of you? How do they find Modern Financial? And if they wanted to connect with you to find out more about what you're doing and how maybe they could join your team, get connected. I know you've got a very highly efficient system. You're cranking on telesales, and you've got a bunch of people in different verticals supporting your agency. How do they get in touch with you?
Look up modernfinancialagency.com. Look up Elvir Bazdarevic on Facebook.
Bazdarevic, B-A-Z.
Yeah. If you have questions, you can comment.
D-A-R-E.
Yeah.
V-I-C.
But or you can email me at elvir@modernfinancialllc.com. But we're always welcome to bring people in, mentor them, guide them, and just give them a shot. All I wanted is a shot to prove myself that I can do this.
From navigating tanks to navigating objections, a little bit different. You're building a different life for your kids than the ones you grew up with. And having your mom wrap chocolates for $2 and your dad sweeping floors for $4.50 puts you in a great spot. It is the American dream. I do believe we're in the best kept secret in America, this industry. And I believe it can change your life. It has changed mine. I know it has changed his. But I hope you heard that it's based on you. It's not the industry. It's not the industry that needs evaluation. The industry is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. The industry is what it is. It's absolutely exploding. The success factor is you. And what I heard from Elvir is we don't know what we don't know and what's in people's hearts. So it's hard to make a blanket statement, this person is going to be successful over another. But someone who is resourceful and can find out the info to get what they need, even despite lack of immediate access to it, they will find that. And character under pressure and willingness to serve. And ultimately, 80% of success is showing up. So if you can show up, if you're coachable, if you're resourceful, if you can handle pressure and you're willing to serve other people, it sounds like you got a winning factor for success.
Yeah. And I just remember starting off and like having this feeling like I know I am meant for more. growing up. Like I just know. I just don't know what it looks like yet, right? But I know there's more out there. God has put a lot more in my heart. And I just needed a shot.
Yeah.
That's all I needed, right?
Yeah.
I just needed to be able to be put in a position to show that I can do it. And even if I don't make it, I want to learn from it and then keep moving forward. But this business for me was the opportunity to prove that I don't have to be the smartest. I just have to work my butt off, willing to adjust to things all the time and be very, very flexible and just be very transparent and with yourself of when you're wrong and you need to move forward.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, incredible story. I love this interview, man. It's different than some of the others we've done, and certainly incredibly valuable. I hope people stay on to the end and have found out a little bit about your story and how it's changed your life for you and your family and your kids, for your Lauren and your other 3 L's in your life. Thanks for being here, buddy. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
And thank you guys for watching this episode of the Life Insurance Academy podcast. We'll see you on the next one.